The metal halls of New Busan Station stretched for miles in every direction. Thousands of people lived here now, floating in space far above any planet. Humans and aliens walked the same corridors, shopped at the same markets, and breathed the same recycled air. But that didn't mean they liked each other. Kiwoo Park rolled his wheelchair through the lower maintenance tunnels. His arms were strong from years of pushing himself around. His legs were gone, cut off above the knee during a battle he tried hard to forget. The war had ended 3 years ago, but his body would always remember. He was 34 years old and worked fixing broken pipes and air filters. It wasn't the life he'd planned, but it was honest work. The station needed people like him, people who knew how things worked and weren't afraid to get dirty. As he moved through a junction point, voices echoed from the level above. Young voices, mean and laughing. Kiwoo stopped and listened. He'd heard that kind of laughter before. Back in boot camp when bigger recruits picked on smaller ones, it was the sound of cruelty. He found the elevator and took it up one level. The school district was here, where children from all species learned together. At least that was the idea. Reality was messier. 3 human boys stood in a circle near the school entrance. They were maybe 16 or 17, wearing expensive clothes that marked them as upper-level residents. In the center of their circle was a girl. She wasn't human. Her skin was pale and slightly translucent like frosted glass. Through it, Kiwoo could see faint patterns of light moving beneath like stars shifting in a clear sky. She was Villani, one of the refugee species that had fled to human space during the war. The girl sat in a wheelchair, but not like his. Hers floated a few inches off the ground, glowing softly with blue light. It moved with her thoughts, responding to her mind. Villani technology was beautiful like that, organic and alive. "Go back to your own world, alien," one of the boys said. He was tall with dark hair cut short. His name tag said Dohyun. "My world is gone," the girl said quietly. Her voice had a musical quality like wind chimes. "You know this. Not our problem," another boy sneered. This one was shorter, with a mean face. Jinwoo, his tag read. The third boy, Hyunsu, kicked at her wheelchair. It wobbled but stayed floating. "Why do you even come to our school? Can't you stay in the alien quarter?" Kiwoo had seen enough. He rolled forward, the sound of his wheels loud in the corridor. "That's enough," the 3 boys turned. They saw an older man in a basic wheelchair, arms covered in old scars. His face was hard, the kind of hard that came from seeing bad things and surviving them. "This doesn't concern you, old man," Dohyun said, but his voice was less confident now. Kiwoo moved closer until he was between the boys and the girl. "I'm station maintenance. Everything on this station concerns me. You 3 should be in class. Our families practically own this station," Jinwoo said. "You can't tell us what to do." Kiwoo looked at each of them in turn. His eyes were flat and cold. "I was a Marine. Lost my legs protecting people like her from people like you. Don't test me, boys," the threat hung in the air. The boys looked at each other uncertain. Finally, Dohyun stepped back. "Come on. She's not worth it anyway." They walked away, looking back twice to glare. Kiwoo watched until they disappeared around a corner. He turned to the girl. She was staring at him with large eyes that reflected light like prisms. "Thank you," she said in careful standard language. "They are always cruel. What's your name?" Kiwoo asked. "Nari. I study engineering here." "Engineering? That's good, smart." He gestured at her wheelchair. "That's beautiful work." "Villani design?" Her face brightened a little. "Yes, it was my mother's. She was a builder, a maker of things. She gave this to me before." Her voice trailed off. Kiwoo understood. Before she died, before their world burned. He'd been there at the end, fighting to save the last ships of refugees. He'd lost his legs on a Villani colony ship, crushed under falling metal while helping children evacuate. "I'm Kiwoo. I work maintenance on the lower levels." "You were a soldier," Nari said. It wasn't a question. "Was, now I fix pipes." "But you still protect people." Kiwoo shrugged. "Old habits." He looked toward where the boys had gone. "Those 3 bother you often?" "Every day. They push me, call me names. Sometimes they throw things. The teachers do nothing. Their families have power here." "Power isn't everything," Kiwoo said. "Neither is walking." He tapped his wheelchair. Nari smiled a little at that. "You're kind. Most humans here are not kind to Villani. Most humans haven't fought beside Villani. I have. Your people saved my unit more times than I can count. We owe you." The war took much from everyone, Nari said softly. They sat in silence for a moment. Other students passed by, human and alien both, but none stopped to talk. Nari seemed used to being ignored. You should get to class, Kiwoo finally said. But if those boys bother you again, you find me. I'm usually on levels 5 through 7. Ask any maintenance worker for Kiwoo Park. Why would you help me? Nari asked. You do not know me. Kiwoo thought about his answer. He thought about the war, about the Villani soldiers who'd died protecting human refugees, about the children he'd saved on that burning ship, about his legs left behind on a deck plate while explosions ripped through the hull. Because someone has to, he said simply. Because it's right. Nari's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Thank you, Kiwoo Park, I will remember. She floated away on her wheelchair, moving gracefully down the corridor toward her classroom. Kiwoo watched her go, something uncomfortable settling in his chest. He recognized the look in her eyes. He'd seen it in mirrors after the war. It was the look of someone who'd learned to expect cruelty. He turned his chair and headed back to the maintenance levels. He had work to do, pipes to fix, filters to clean. But his mind stayed on Nari and those 3 boys. He'd meant what he said about old habits. In the Marines, they'd taught him to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. They'd taught him that bullies only understood one language: force. The war might be over, but Kiwoo Park wasn't done fighting. Not yet. As he descended in the elevator, he pulled up the station directory on his datapad. 3 names appeared quickly. Do-hyun Park, son of Councilman Park Tae-jin. Jin-woo Lee, nephew of the station's commerce director. Hyun-soo Cho, whose family ran the largest shipping company on the station. Rich kids. Protected kids. Kids who thought they could do anything without consequences. Kiwoo saved their files and closed his datapad. He hoped they'd learned their lesson and would leave Nari alone. He hoped he wouldn't have to teach them another one, but deep down he knew better. Bullies never learned, not until someone made them. 2 weeks passed. Kiwoo kept busy with his work, but he watched. The maintenance network gave him access to most of the station's cameras. He told himself he was just checking on things, making sure the systems ran smoothly. But he knew he was watching for Nari. The station was getting worse. Every day brought new tensions between humans and aliens. Someone spray-painted humans first on the alien quarter entrance. A Villani shop owner had his windows broken. The council meetings grew loud with angry voices. At the center of it all was Councilman Park Tae-jin, Do-hyun's father. He gave speeches about protecting human jobs and human culture. He said aliens were taking resources that belonged to humanity. People listened to him. Angry people, scared people, people looking for someone to blame for their problems. This gave his son confidence. Do-hyun and his friends grew bolder. Kiwoo watched them on the cameras, following Nari through the corridors. They'd trip her wheelchair, making it spin. They'd crowd around her, blocking her path. Once Yeonsu dumped garbage on her as she passed. No one stopped them. Teachers looked away. Security guards found reasons to be elsewhere. Their families had power, and power meant protection. Kiwoo wanted to intervene, but he was just a maintenance worker. He had no authority here. All he could do was watch and feel his anger grow. On the 15th day, Yoonji Kim came to see him. She was head of security, a tall woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. She'd served with him in the war, back when they were both younger and had different dreams. Kiwoo, she said, finding him in a pump room on level 6. We need to talk. About what? About you watching those 3 boys on the cameras. About you tracking their movements. About the looks you give them when they pass by. Kiwoo kept working on the pump. I'm doing my job. Your job is fixing things, not surveillance. Yoonji sat on a crate, her voice softer now. I know what you're thinking. I know what they're doing to that Villani girl. But you can't do anything about it. Can't or won't? Kiwoo asked. Both. Their families have lawyers and influence. We've tried to discipline them before. It always gets swept away. The best we can do is keep watching and document everything. So you just let them torture that girl? Yoonji's face showed pain. I hate it too. But I have to think about the bigger picture. If I push too hard, I lose my job. Then someone else takes over. Someone who might not even try to help. Sometimes you have to choose the lesser evil. Kiwoo finally looked at her. I spent 2 years in the war fighting alongside Villani soldiers. Good people. Brave people. They died protecting humans, Yoonji. They died for us. And now we treat their children like trash? I know, I was there too, remember? Yunji stood up. I'm not telling you this to defend the system. I'm telling you to be careful. I know that look in your eyes. I've seen it before. Right before you did something crazy that somehow worked out. I'm just a maintenance worker, Kiwoo said again. You're a decorated combat veteran with advanced tactical training. Don't play dumb with me. She moved toward the door. Just be careful, please. I don't want to have to arrest an old friend. She left. Kiwoo finished with the pump and cleaned his tools. His hands moved automatically while his mind worked. That evening, he ate dinner in the lower-level cafeteria. The food was basic but filling. Around him, other workers talked about their days. Simple people doing simple jobs, trying to get by. His data pad buzzed. A maintenance alert from Section 12 near the school. Camera malfunction. Kiwoo frowned. Those cameras had just been serviced. He went to check it out. The corridors were emptier now, most students gone home. But as he approached Section 12, he heard voices. Not friendly ones, Kiwoo moved quietly. Years of training came back easily. He stayed in the shadows following the sound. Please, Nari's voice, frightened. Let me pass. Why should we? Dohyun's laugh was ugly. This is our station. You're just a guest. A unwanted guest. Kiwoo came around the corner. They were in an old section scheduled for renovation. No cameras here, that's why the alert had triggered, and that's why the boys had chosen this place. Nari was backed against a wall. Her wheelchair floated beside her, glowing dimly. The three boys formed a half-circle around her. I just want to go home, Nari said. Then go home. Go back to your dead world with your dead people, Jinwoo said. You don't belong here, Hyunsu added. None of your kind do. Kiwoo started forward, but he was too far away. Too slow in his chair. Dohyun grabbed Nari's wheelchair. The girl cried out, trying to hold on to it, but he was stronger. He lifted it high. No, Nari screamed. Please, it was my mother's. Was? Dohyun smiled. Good, now it's trash. He threw the wheelchair against the wall. The beautiful Villani technology shattered. Blue light flickered and died. Delicate components scattered across the floor. The organic neural interface, which had taken Villani craftsmen months to grow, cracked into pieces. Nari collapsed. Without the wheelchair, her legs couldn't support her. She fell hard onto the metal floor. Her crystalline bone structure wasn't meant for Earth-normal gravity. The impact cracked something inside her. She screamed in pain. The boys laughed. Hyunsu kicked pieces of the broken wheelchair. Jinwoo recorded it on his datapad. Dohyun leaned down and spat on Nari. Alien filth, he said. Remember your place. They walked away, high-fiving each other. They passed within 10 feet of where Kiwoo sat hidden in an alcove. They never saw him. They were too busy celebrating their cruelty. Kiwoo waited until they were gone. Then he moved forward. Nari was crying, curled on the floor. Blue fluid leaked from wounds where her crystalline structure had cracked. The broken pieces of her wheelchair lay around her like the remains of something sacred. Nari, Kiwoo said softly. She looked up. Her eyes were full of pain and something worse than pain. Hopelessness. They broke it, she whispered. My mother's last gift. The only piece of home I had left. They broke it. Kiwoo carefully lifted her into his lap. She weighed almost nothing. Her body was so delicate, so easily damaged. We need to get you to medical. It does not matter. Nothing matters now. Her voice was empty. They win. They always win. No, Kiwoo said firmly. They don't. He carried her to the medical bay on level 8. Dr. Minji Seo was on duty, a kind woman who'd always treated aliens with the same care as humans. She took Nari immediately, cleaning her wounds and setting the cracks in her bone structure with specialized adhesive. While the doctor worked, Kiwoo examined the pieces of the wheelchair he'd gathered. The damage was total. The bio-neural interface was dead. The organic components couldn't be repaired. Even if they could be, the genetic template that allowed it to bond with Nari was gone. An elderly Villani arrived an hour later. His name was Wonshik, and he was Nari's guardian. He moved slowly, his own crystalline structure showing the wear of age. Thank you for bringing her here, Wonshik said. His standard was better than Nari's, learned over many years. Those boys did this, Kiwoo said. They destroyed her wheelchair. Wonshik's face showed deep sorrow. It was more than a wheelchair. It contained data crystals from our homeworld. Cultural knowledge, genetic templates, engineering specifications. Nari is one of the last bioengineers of our people. She carried that knowledge in her chair's memory. Now it is lost. Kiwoo felt something cold settle in his stomach. Can it be recovered? No. When the bioneural interface died, everything died with it. Thousands of years of Vellani wisdom gone in a moment of cruelty. They sat in silence. Through the window they could see Minji working on Nari. The girl stared at nothing, her eyes empty. What will you do? Wanshik asked. I don't know yet, Kiwoo said, but that was a lie. He knew exactly what he would do. Those boys had crossed a line. They hadn't just hurt a girl. They'd destroyed irreplaceable knowledge. They'd killed a piece of an entire culture. And they'd done it laughing. Yunji appeared later that night. I heard what happened. I'm sorry. Can you arrest them? They'll say it was an accident. Their lawyers will have them out in hours. Their families will protect them. She looked tired. The system is broken, Kiwoo. Then the system needs to be bypassed. Yunji stared at him. Don't do anything stupid. I won't do anything stupid, Kiwoo said. I'll do something smart. Something they'll never see coming. Kiwoo, go home, Yunji. Forget this conversation. Forget you saw me here. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. I can't protect you if you do something illegal. I know. She left. Kiwoo sat alone in the waiting area thinking. Planning. 3 targets. 3 boys who thought they were untouchable. He would teach them differently. He would teach them that actions have consequences, that some lines should never be crossed, and he would teach them what it felt like to lose something irreplaceable. Kiwoo stayed with Nari through the night. Minji had stabilized her injuries, but the emotional damage went deeper than cracked bones. The girl barely spoke. She stared at the ceiling with empty eyes. In the morning, Wanshik returned with clean clothes and a basic hover chair borrowed from the Refugee Assistance Program. It was crude compared to what Nari had lost. Just a simple floating platform with basic controls. No neural interface, no beauty. No connection to her lost home. Come, child, Wanshik said gently. We must go. Nari moved mechanically. She sat in the new chair without comment. As they prepared to leave, she looked at Kiwoo. Thank you for helping me, but please do not put yourself at risk. Those boys are protected. Their families are powerful. Nothing will change. Maybe, Kiwoo said. Maybe not. After they left, Kiwoo went to the memorial wall on level 3. It was a long corridor lined with names. Human names and alien names side by side. Soldiers who'd died in the war. Civilians who'd been killed in attacks. Refugees who hadn't survived the journey to safety. He found the section for Vellani casualties. Thousands of names carved into metal plates. He touched one name at random. Beneath it was a note. Died protecting human evacuation ship. Hero of the Battle of Kepler Station. Kiwoo closed his eyes and remembered. The battle had been chaos. The enemy had broken through their lines. The evacuation ships were full of civilians, mostly children. If they didn't launch immediately, everyone would die. But the docking clamps were damaged. Someone needed to release them manually. Kiwoo had volunteered. He'd made it to 2 clamps when an explosion tore through the deck. Metal had fallen on his legs, crushing them. He'd been pinned, unable to move. A Vellani soldier had found him. Her name was something he couldn't pronounce. She'd lifted the metal off him with her powered exoskeleton. Then she'd finished releasing the clamps while enemy fire rained down around them. The ships had launched. 5,000 people lived because of her. Kiwoo had been pulled to safety just before the section decompressed. But the Vellani soldier hadn't made it. She'd stayed behind to seal the blast doors, saving the humans who were evacuating him. She'd died alone in the vacuum of space, buying time for others to escape. Just one of thousands of Vellani who'd sacrificed themselves for humans during that war. And now humans repaid that sacrifice by tormenting Vellani children, by destroying their last treasures. By treating them like garbage, Kiwoo opened his eyes. I won't let them be forgotten, he whispered to the names on the wall. I promise. He went home to his small apartment on level 7. It was basic but comfortable. He'd been saving money, thinking maybe he'd get prosthetic legs someday. But every time he looked at the price, he thought of other things the money could buy. Medical supplies for the refugee clinics, educational programs for alien children, better equipment for the maintenance teams. His legs could wait. Other things mattered more, but now he had a different use for his savings. Revenge wasn't free. Kiwoo pulled up the station schematics on his terminal. He'd been studying them for years as part of his job. He knew every corridor, every service tunnel, every access point. He knew where the cameras were and where they weren't. He knew which systems were old and which were new. He knew the weak points. He pulled up the three boys' files again. Do-hyun Park, Jin-woo Lee, Hyun-soo Cho. He studied their schedules, their habits, their routines. Do-hyun played zero-gravity handball 3 times a week. Jin-woo spent hours at the gaming lounges on the upper levels. Hyun-soo worked part-time at his family's shipping warehouse. 3 targets, 3 opportunities, 3 lessons to be taught. A memory surfaced. His drill instructor's voice years ago during advanced combat training. A good soldier knows how to attack. A great soldier knows how to make it look like an accident. Ki-woo hadn't been just a good soldier. He'd been great. The best in his unit at infiltration, sabotage, and tactical problem-solving. The war had ended, but his skills hadn't faded. He began to plan. Over the next few days, Ki-woo worked his normal shifts but added extra tasks. He volunteered to check the gravity generators in the sports complex. He offered to inspect the electrical systems in the entertainment district. He signed up for inventory checks in the cargo bays. No one questioned it. He was a dedicated worker, always volunteering for extra duty. They were just happy to have the help. During these inspections, Ki-woo made small modifications. Nothing obvious. Just tiny adjustments to timing systems, slight alterations to safety protocols, adjustments that wouldn't show up on routine diagnostics. He was methodical, patient. He'd learned in the war that rushing led to mistakes, and mistakes led to death. He would take his time and do this right. On the 5th day, he visited Nari. She was in a small apartment in the alien quarter, surrounded by borrowed furniture and donated supplies. Wonshik answered the door. "How is she?" Ki-woo asked. "Healing physically. The spirit takes longer." Wonshik gestured inside. "Come, she will want to see you." Nari sat by a window looking out at the stars. Her new wheelchair was parked beside her. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. "Hello, Ki-woo Park," she said without turning. "Have you come to check on the broken alien girl?" "I came to check on my friend," Ki-woo said. She looked at him then. "We are friends?" "I think so. Unless you don't want to be." A small smile touched her face, the first he'd seen since the attack. "I would like to be friends." They talked for a while. Nari told him about her mother, the bioengineer who'd created beautiful things, about her father, a teacher who'd died defending their city, about her younger brother who'd been killed when their evacuation ship was attacked. "I am the last of my family," she said quietly. "I carry their memory. And I carried our culture's knowledge, in the data crystals my mother gave me. Now that is gone too. Knowledge can be rebuilt," Ki-woo said. "It takes time, but it's possible. Perhaps. But the original is lost forever." She looked at her hands. "Do you know what hurts most?" They enjoyed it. "Breaking my chair, hurting me." They laughed. "That is what I cannot understand. Why does causing pain bring joy?" Ki-woo thought about the question. Because they've never felt real pain themselves. They don't understand what they're doing. To them, you're not real. You're just a thing to kick around. Will they ever understand? Maybe, if someone teaches them. Nari looked at him curiously. "You have a strange expression when you say that." Ki-woo smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Do I?" Before he left, Wonshik walked him to the door. The old Villani studied Ki-woo's face for a long moment. "You are planning something," Wonshik said. "It wasn't a question. I don't know what you mean. I am old. I have seen many things. I know the look of a warrior preparing for battle." Wonshik's crystalline eyes caught the light. "Whatever you plan, be careful. Nari has lost enough. She does not need to lose a friend as well." "I'm always careful," Ki-woo said. That night, he visited the memorial wall again. He stood before the names of Villani warriors, human soldiers, and civilian casualties. So many dead, so many sacrifices. He thought about the Villani soldier who'd saved his life. He thought about Nari crying over her mother's broken gift. He thought about the 3 boys laughing as they destroyed something irreplaceable. In the war, he'd killed enemy combatants. People trying to kill him and his friends. He'd done it without hesitation because it was necessary. Kill or be killed. Simple mathematics, this was different. The boys weren't trying to kill him. They were just cruel, thoughtless children who'd never faced consequences. Did they deserve what he was planning? Ki-woo touched another name on the wall. A human marine who'd died saving a Villani family. Beneath the name it said, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. But what about laying down someone else's life?" Kiwu whispered to the empty corridor. What about taking something precious from those who take from the innocent? The wall had no answers, only names. The dead couldn't offer guidance. Kiwu stood there for a long time, wrestling with himself. He wasn't a murderer. He wouldn't kill these boys. But he could hurt them. He could teach them what Nari felt like, helpless and broken. Was that justice or revenge? Was there a difference? Finally, he made his decision. The boys had taken Nari's mobility, her independence, her last connection to her lost world. They'd done it without thought, without mercy, without remorse. So he would take their mobility in return. He would show them what it felt like to be helpless, to need help for basic tasks, to face a world that wasn't built for them anymore. And maybe, just maybe, they'd learn something from it. Maybe they'd become better people. Or maybe they'd just suffer as Nari suffered. Either way, they'd earned this lesson. Kiwu left the memorial hall and went to his workshop. He had final preparations to make. Equipment to ready. Timing to perfect. The first lesson would be taught tomorrow. Do-hyun would learn first, since his father's hatred had started all of this. Kiwu didn't sleep well that night. But when he did sleep, he dreamed of the Villani soldier who'd saved him. In the dream, she spoke to him in perfect standard. Do what must be done, she said. Protect the innocent. Punish the cruel. This is the warrior's code. He woke with the dream still fresh in his mind. Right or wrong, he knew what he had to do. The time for watching was over. The time for action had begun. Do-hyun Park loved zero-gravity handball. The game was played in a large spherical room where artificial gravity could be turned off. Players would launch themselves from wall to wall, hitting a small ball with their hands. It required strength, speed, and good instincts. Do-hyun was good at it. He was team captain and his team rarely lost. He enjoyed the feeling of flying through the air, powerful and free. He especially enjoyed showing off in front of the girls who came to watch. On Tuesday evening, he arrived at the sports complex for practice. His team was already warming up in the gravity field. Kiwu watched from the maintenance office, his eyes on the monitor showing the sports complex systems. The gravity generators were old equipment, installed when the station was first built. They worked fine most of the time, but they required regular maintenance. Kiwu had volunteered to monitor them during the evening sessions, making sure nothing went wrong. Of course, he'd made sure something would go wrong. But not in a way anyone would notice. Not until it was too late. The game began. Do-hyun and his teammates launched themselves into the air as gravity shut off. They flew gracefully, laughing and shouting as they played. For 20 minutes, everything was normal. Then Kiwu pressed a button on his control panel. The gravity generator received a signal to perform a system check. Standard procedure, done automatically dozens of times per day. But this check had been modified. The timing was off by exactly 3 seconds. In the sphere, Do-hyun jumped high to catch the ball. He was at the peak of his arc, 15 feet off the ground, when the gravity generator completed its check and restarted. But it didn't restart at normal power. It restarted at 150%. Instead of Earth normal gravity, the field suddenly became half again as strong. Do-hyun fell. Fast. Faster than his body expected. He tried to adjust, to land on his feet, but the extra gravity pulled him down hard. He hit the floor with tremendous force. The sound was terrible. Bones broke. Do-hyun screamed. The other players crashed down around him, but they'd been lower to the ground. They were bruised and shaken, but mostly okay. Do-hyun had been highest when gravity returned. He'd taken the worst of it. Kiwu made his face concerned and called for medical assistance. Then he carefully erased the modification he'd made to the system check. He replaced it with standard code. When investigators looked, they'd find only a random glitch. Equipment failure. These things happened with old systems. Tragic, but not suspicious. At the hospital, doctors worked on Do-hyun for hours. Both legs were shattered. His pelvis was cracked. His spine had compressed from the impact. When they finally gave his parents the news, Councilman Park's face went white. "Will he walk again?" the councilman asked. "Eventually, perhaps, with surgery and therapy, but it will take years, and he'll never be the same." Kiwu heard this from Eunji, who told him over drinks 2 days later. She looked tired. "Terrible accident," she said, watching his face carefully. "Terrible," Kiwu agreed. "Those old systems need replacing." The investigators found a glitch in the gravity generator. Random code error. They're saying it was just bad luck. Bad luck, Kiwoo repeated. Yoonji set down her drink. Kiwoo, did I what? I was monitoring the systems like I'm supposed to. I called for help immediately. I gave my statement to the investigators. What else should I have done? Nothing. Forget I asked. But her eyes said she knew. She knew and she couldn't prove it and she didn't know what to feel about that. 3 days after Do-Yun's accident, Jin-Woo Lee went to his favorite gaming lounge. The Nexus was an upscale establishment on level 2 where rich kids played full immersion virtual reality games. The neural interface chairs cost more than most workers made in a year. Jin-Woo loved the racing games. He'd sit in the chair for hours, his mind plugged directly into the simulation. His body would stay still while his consciousness flew through virtual worlds at impossible speeds. Kiwoo had inspected the electrical systems in the Nexus the day before. He'd found several code violations, outdated wiring, insufficient grounding. The owner had promised to fix them, but these things took time. In the meantime, Kiwoo had made his own adjustments. Tiny ones, a wire crossed here, a resistor bypassed there. Nothing that would show up on a standard inspection. Nothing that would cause problems under normal use, but full immersion gaming wasn't normal use. It drew huge amounts of power. The neural interfaces created electromagnetic fields. The combination could be dangerous if the safety systems weren't perfect, and Kiwoo had made sure they weren't perfect. Jinwoo settled into his favorite chair. He put on the neural interface helmet and selected a game. His consciousness drifted away from his body as the simulation took over. For 2 hours, everything was fine. Then the power fluctuated, just for a second. Just long enough for the safety systems to fail to engage properly. Feedback surged through the neural interface. Electricity that should have been dispersed by ground wires went directly into Jinwoo's spine instead. His body convulsed in the chair. Alarms screamed. Other gamers looked up in shock. By the time staff pulled the helmet off him, the damage was done. The surge had fried nerve pathways in his lower spine. Not enough to kill him, just enough to paralyze him from the waist down. The investigators found the electrical problems. They shut down the Nexus pending a full inspection. The owner was cited for multiple safety violations. Criminal charges were being considered. Tragic accident. Equipment failure. Bad maintenance. Nothing suspicious. Jinwoo would never walk again. Yoonji came to see Kiwoo again. This time she wasn't friendly. She was angry. 2 rich boys. Both enemies of that Villani girl. Both suddenly crippled. Both in accidents involving systems you recently worked on. Coincidence, Kiwoo said calmly. I work on hundreds of systems every week. Bullshit. I know you, Kiwoo. I know what you're capable of. Then arrest me. Show me the evidence. Prove I did anything wrong. Yoonji stared at him. I can't. The investigators found nothing. Both incidents look like genuine accidents. But I know what you're doing. What am I doing? You're playing God. You're deciding who deserves to be punished and how. Someone has to, Kiwoo said quietly. The system failed that girl. Those boys destroyed something irreplaceable and laughed about it. Where was justice then? So you made your own justice? I made consequences. Something those boys never faced before. And the third one? Hyunsu? Are you going to cripple him too? Kiwoo didn't answer. He didn't need to. They both knew. Don't do it, Yoonji said. You've made your point. 2 boys will spend their lives in wheelchairs. Isn't that enough? Is it enough for Nari? Her mother's last gift is destroyed. Her culture's knowledge is lost. Her body is damaged. Should I stop because 2 bullies got what they deserved? You're not a judge. You're not an executioner. I'm a veteran who swore to protect the innocent. I'm doing my job. Yoonji stood up. When the third one happens, I'll have to investigate harder. I'll have to find the connection. And when I do, I won't be able to look the other way anymore, friend or not. I understand, Kiwoo said. She left. Kiwoo sat alone in his apartment thinking. Maybe he should stop. Maybe 2 was enough. Do-Hyun and Jinwoo had learned their lesson. Maybe Hyunsu would see what happened to his friends and change his behavior. But Kiwoo knew bullies. They didn't change unless they personally experienced consequences. Seeing others get hurt wasn't enough. They had to feel it themselves. Besides, Hyunsu had been there. He'd kicked Nari's wheelchair. He'd laughed while she cried. He deserved the same lesson as the others. 5 days after Jinwoo's accident, Hyunsu went to work at his family's shipping warehouse. The boy was nervous now. Two of his friends were crippled. He'd heard people whispering about curses and karma. His mother wanted him to stop working at the warehouse, but his father insisted. The boy needed to learn the family business. The warehouse was huge, full of cargo containers stacked 3 high. Robot loaders moved them around, guided by computer systems. It was usually safe. The robots had multiple sensors and safety protocols. Usually Kiwoo had done inventory inspection the previous week. He'd checked all the robot loaders. He'd found one with a faulty sensor. He'd reported it. The repair was scheduled for next week, but he'd also modified the robot's programming, just slightly, just enough that under specific circumstances, the safety protocols would fail to engage. The circumstances were very specific, almost impossible to occur naturally, unless someone made them occur. Hyunsu was moving boxes near the loading area. The robot loader was working nearby, stacking containers. Everything was normal. Then Kiwoo, monitoring from the control room, sent a signal. The robot's sensors received false data. They saw empty space where Hyunsu stood. They didn't see the boy at all. The loader picked up a heavy container. It swung around, moving to stack it on a pallet. Hyunsu didn't see it coming. He was looking the other way. The container hit him from behind. 3 tons of metal and cargo. Hyunsu was thrown forward into a stack of boxes. More containers fell. They buried him. By the time workers dug him out, his legs were crushed. Completely destroyed. His spine was damaged at 2 points. The doctor said he'd never walk again. Never even stand. 3 boys, 3 accidents, 3 wheelchairs. The station buzzed with rumors. Some said it was divine punishment. Some said aliens had cursed them. Some said it was just terrible luck. 3 weeks passed. The station slowly returned to normal, though nothing was truly normal anymore. 3 wealthy boys sat in wheelchairs now, facing a future they'd never imagined. Their families struggled to understand. The station security had no answers. The investigations had found nothing but accidents. Kiwoo continued his work. He fixed pipes and checked systems. He monitored equipment and filed reports. No one suspected him. He was just a maintenance worker doing his job, but Yoonji knew. She couldn't prove it, but she knew. She watched him when they passed in the corridors. Her eyes asked questions her mouth wouldn't speak. Kiwoo never answered those silent questions. He just nodded and moved on. The 3 boys had different reactions to their new reality. Do-hyun fell into deep depression. He stayed in his family's apartment, refusing to see friends. His father hired the best doctors, but no amount of money could give him his legs back. Surgery might help someday, but he'd never play handball again. He'd never run or jump or feel powerful. His mother came to visit Kiwoo one day. She found him in a maintenance tunnel on level 6. She was a small woman with tired eyes. "You were there," she said, "when the accident happened to my son. You called for help." "I did my job," Kiwoo said. "The investigators say it was equipment failure, a random glitch." She looked at him carefully. "Do you believe that?" "I believe the equipment failed. These things happen with old systems. My son is in a wheelchair now. Like you." She touched his arm. "Tell me, how do you live with it? How do you accept this life?" Kiwoo thought about his answer. "You make choices. You can be bitter about what you lost, or you can focus on what you still have. Your son is alive. He has his mind, his hands, his future. The chair doesn't define him. How he deals with it does. He won't talk to anyone. He just sits and stares. He's grieving. He lost something important to him. But grief passes. Eventually he'll have to decide who he wants to be." The woman nodded slowly. "I heard he was cruel to an alien girl. Before the accident, I didn't believe it at first. My son a bully?" She looked at the floor. "But other mothers told me stories. Things he'd done. Ways he'd treated people. I was blind to it. Most parents are blind to their children's faults. Is that what this is? Punishment for his cruelty?" She looked up, tears in her eyes. "Did the universe take his legs because he hurt someone else who couldn't walk?" "I don't believe the universe works that way," Kiwoo said gently. "But I do believe in consequences. What we do matters. How we treat people matters." She left quietly. Kiwoo never saw her again. But he heard later that she'd gone to the alien quarter. She'd found Nari and apologized for her son's actions. She'd offered to pay for a new wheelchair, though Villani technology couldn't be bought with money. Jinwoo's family reacted differently. They were angry. They wanted someone to blame. The Nexus owner was charged with criminal negligence. The gaming lounge was shut down permanently. Jinwoo's parents sued for damages, but anger didn't fix their son. Jinwoo was paralyzed from the waist down. The nerve damage was permanent. No surgery could repair it. He'd be in a wheelchair for life. At first, Jinwoo was defiant. He claimed this wouldn't change him. He'd still be cool, still be popular. But his friends drifted away. They were uncomfortable around him now. He reminded them that bad things could happen to anyone. Jinwoo started attending physical therapy sessions at the station's medical center. That's where he met other people in wheelchairs, humans and aliens both. People who'd been injured in accidents or born with disabilities. People who dealt with their limitations every day. One day he was struggling with a door that wasn't wide enough for his chair. A Villani woman stopped to help him. She held the door while he maneuvered through. "Thank you," he said, embarrassed. "We help each other," she said simply. "The universe is hard. We must be kind." It was a small moment, but it planted something in Jinwoo's mind. A question he'd never asked before. What if aliens were just people too? Hyunsu had it worst. His injuries were the most severe. Both legs completely destroyed. Spinal damage that caused chronic pain. He'd be in a wheelchair forever and every day would hurt. He was bitter, angry, he blamed everyone. The robots. The station. His father for making him work there. The universe for being unfair, but mostly he blamed aliens. In his mind, the accidents had started after they'd messed with that Villani girl. She'd cursed them somehow. Alien magic or alien revenge, it was their fault. His father encouraged this thinking. The Cho family joined the Humanity First movement. They attended rallies and gave speeches about alien threats. They wanted all aliens removed from the station. But their speeches fell flat now. People looked at Hyunsu in his wheelchair and saw only a bitter boy looking for someone to blame. The movement lost support. Councilman Park, dealing with his own son's depression, stepped back from politics. Without leadership, Humanity First faded away. 1 month after the accidents, Nari encountered Do-hyun in the station's memorial garden. It was a quiet place with plants and soft music. She went there sometimes to think about her lost family. Do-hyun was there in his wheelchair, struggling on a path that wasn't smooth. His chair was basic like hers now. His family could afford better, but nothing had been delivered yet. The fancy medical chairs took time to build. Nari watched him struggle for a moment. She could leave. She could pretend she didn't see him. He'd destroyed her mother's gift. He'd hurt her. She owed him nothing, but she stopped her chair and floated over to him. "The path is easier if you go around the left side," she said quietly. Do-hyun looked up. He recognized her immediately. His face showed shame. I don't deserve your help. Perhaps not, but I give it anyway." She guided him to the smoother path. They sat in silence for a while. 2 young people in wheelchairs surrounded by memorial plaques for the dead. "I'm sorry," Do-hyun finally said, "for what I did, for what we did to you. It was cruel and stupid and wrong. Yes, it was. I never understood what it was like to be helpless, to need help for basic things, to have people look at you with pity." He touched his wheels. "Now I understand, and I hate it." "Hating it will not change it," Nari said. "You must accept and adapt." "How? How do you do it? How do you not hate everyone?" Nari thought about her answer. "Pain makes you choose. You can let it make you cruel, or you can let it make you kind. Cruelty spreads pain to others. Kindness makes pain smaller. I spread pain to you and others, and now I have pain too." Do-hyun's voice broke. "Is that karma? Is that justice?" "I do not know about justice. I know only that we are both here now, both in chairs, both facing difficult futures. We can be enemies or we can understand each other. I don't deserve understanding, perhaps not, but I give it anyway," Nari said again, "because that is who I choose to be." They talked for over an hour. Do-hyun told her about his depression, his fear, his struggle to accept his new life. Nari told him about losing her family, her world, everything she'd known, about learning to build a new life from ruins. When they parted, something had changed. Not friendship yet, but the beginning of understanding. Kiwoo heard about the meeting from Won-shik. The old Villani was pleased. The girl has wisdom beyond her years. She chooses compassion over revenge. "Unlike some people," Kiwoo said quietly. "You did what you thought was necessary. I do not judge you for it. Those boys needed to learn consequences." Won-shik poured tea. But Nari is teaching them something else now, something more difficult than pain. She is teaching them humanity. Ironic, teaching humans humanity. Indeed. Wanshik smiled, but she is good at teaching. She has started helping other disabled people on the station, human and alien both. She is building something from her loss. Over the following weeks, Nari began a project. With Wanshik's help and small donations from the refugee community, she started designing new wheelchair technology. Not pure Villani design which couldn't be replicated, but hybrid designs that combined Villani principles with human engineering. She worked with human engineers who were curious about her ideas. She explained concepts in simple terms, teaching them about bioneural interfaces and organic technology. She was one of the last Villani bioengineers, and she refused to let that knowledge die with her. Her first prototype was a hover chair with basic neural response, not as sophisticated as what she'd lost, but better than anything humans had built before. She tested it herself, adjusting and improving it. Word spread. Other people came to see her work. Disabled humans who'd struggled with basic wheelchairs. Injured veterans who needed better prosthetics. Engineers who wanted to learn new techniques. Nari's small apartment became a workshop. Wanshik helped her move to a larger space in the commercial district. She called it the Mobility Lab. Her goal was simple: help people move through the world more easily. Do-hyun started visiting the lab. At first, he just watched. Then he asked questions. Nari answered patiently, teaching him about the technology. Eventually, he started helping. He had good hands and a quick mind. He learned to assemble components and test systems. "Why do you let me help?" he asked one day. "After what I did?" "Because everyone deserves a second chance," Nari said. "And because you are trying to be better. That is all anyone can ask." Jinwoo heard about the lab and came to visit. He was nervous, expecting Nari to turn him away. Instead, she showed him her designs and asked his.